On the morning of October 9th, 2024, Hurricane Milton had its eyes set on the west coast of Florida. We still weren't exactly sure where it was going to be, somewhere around the Tampa Bay area, which just happens to be the home base for my home and my channel, Grease Belly Garage, where I putz around with cars. This is the morning where I decided to finally get myself together and evacuate after days of hesitation. We decided to go inland to higher ground to actually my oldest daughter's house is where we ended up. And we were watching it along with the meteorologist in the area. I couldn't sleep, so here I am out at 4 o'clock in the morning, kind of looking at the damage, going back to my house and seeing what was going on. Here comes the cavalry early the next morning, going out to clear the big trees off the roads. Some very mature oak trees had fallen across major thoroughfares that I almost ran into a couple of them actually. So they went out and cleared them out with whatever kind of front loaders and bulldozers and things to get those roadways up and going again for the power line crews to get started. This neighborhood is really close to my house, and it was kind of a canopy street, really nice road to drive down that curves underneath a canopy of tree branches and things. And I was kind of shocked to drive down this. In fact, it was one of the first places I wanted to look at because it was so heavily treed. But hurricanes do a really, really, really good job of trimming trees, and I hate to say it that way, but it basically takes out all the weakest links pretty much. And I was just kind of blown away by what this looked like afterwards. It was like the shade was virtually gone, and that was really, really shocking. Other people were out driving around, checking it out. A lot of curiosity here. You have to be really careful of power lines in this situation. That's a power line right there. I was kind of jonesing for some caffeine at this point because I had been up for 30 hours or so, and up here on the left I came across one of the most probably humane gestures in modern society that I've experienced in quite some time, and you'll see it in just a few seconds here. I was absolutely blown away to see these two adorable little girls with a free coffee stand set up, and their mom and dad were really great people. It was free coffee, but I went ahead and gave them, I think I gave them $20 so they could buy some more supplies to help other people out. But very, very cute, adorable kids, really nice people, and it was great to see that in such a time of despair. This is another fully mature palm tree that's been there for a very long time, just kind of laying in the road. Debris from the nearby mobile home parks, which you'll see more of in the video later. This is a wood frame house that was blown to smithereens right here. This is a gas line I've been waiting in for probably an hour now. This is a Wawa station, and I'm trying to get to a pump that's got diesel for my Excursion and gas for my mother's generator. They finally brought in a big commercial generator to operate this station, and the traffic is just unreal today. I don't know where everybody's going because everything's closed and there's no gas. It's almost like people drive around using gas, looking for gas so that they can drive around and look for gas. Some kind of math I just don't understand. This is a condominium that we own that my mother-in-law lives in, and she got her power back first, so we went and crashed there to get some sleep. However, the elevator door was broken and would only open about maybe 15 inches or so, and I miraculously was able to squeeze my full-figured body through that crack somehow. I guess fat is squishy, A good thing it's not all muscle, I guess. Whew. See, my yard's turned into a mud pit here. Oh, what's crapping in Fun Seekers? It's kind of a different episode of Grease Belly Garage today because this is post-Hurricane Milton, which came right over Tampa Bay area where I live. I'm trying to find some sunglasses here. Been on limited internet, limited food, I just had power back on late last night at my house. And it's been a lot of fun. And I see lots of chatter on the internet about this hurricane and living in Florida. And, you know, we've had two, like, in the last month, which is really weird. I've been here my whole life and I've never seen anything like it. So let's take a look around and I'll give you some of the ins and outs of preparing for a hurricane and living through one and what you do afterwards and what it's like and all that stuff and how it's going to affect Florida life, because this is going to affect it big time. For the people that are considering moving here, you might want to shift gears for a while because it's going to be a lot of fun. My name's Jason and this is Grease Belly Garage Hurricane Edition. The thing about hurricanes is you end up with limited laundry and limited shower facilities and all that, so you're never really, you know, I probably stink, but hey, they usually smell like PB Blaster anyway, so it's nothing new. So the first thing we're gonna do is check out, I've already looked at a lot of this of course, but I'm gonna assess further damage with my own property and the headquarters of Grease Belly Garage. All right, starting back during Hurricane Debbie, we got like 14 inches of rain here, and so my yard is just a big soupy mess. I'm gonna have to have a guy come in here and do some gravel and tractor work. And on the left, you can see my fence situation. All that fence was brand new back in March of 2024. I gotta get it shored up and redone. Here's some fence panels that fell, and I was really worried about this this new carport that I had built earlier this year as well. I try to keep this channel as blue collar as possible because when I was young, I didn't have the means to do a lot of fancy things and have lifts and things like that. Now I've had all that through my life, but I still have 2 lifts at the big shop. But I like to do these things the old-fashioned way, an old-fashioned termite-infested garage. Here's some of the tree debris that falls in every single hurricane, and it doesn't matter how much you trim oak trees. They're kind of a double-edged sword. They're great for shade, but man, are they a disgusting mess. I mean, overall, I hate them, but I need the shade. It really saves a lot of grief in the summer times here when the weather is especially brutal. And then this is actually a lot more tree debris than you would imagine piled up right there. 57 Pontiac Safari wagon right there is sitting there with the engine completely full of diesel fuel for an upcoming video. Got my 10-grill Dodge sitting there. Finally got a bunch of parts for that. 86 K10. Finally got a bunch of parts for that. More blown down fence in the back corner. 57 Chieftain. Finally got some parts for that. See, I'm way behind schedule on things, and here's some other things that have never... Some of this has been on the channel and some of it hasn't. It's all in various states of disrepair and disorder. Some of it you guys have never seen, some of it you have, but it's all coming sooner or later to the channel in some way, shape, or form, even if it's for sale. So I had this burn pile that's been sitting there for a while. That was unfortunately, I was running really late getting that stuff burned off. So I took my spare tires and wheels and jammed them on top of it all. Actually, my neighbor John helped me with that while I was fixing his air conditioner pre-hurricane. And it did a pretty good job of holding everything down. I've got all kinds of wheels and tires I've picked up through the years. And just picked up that XJ 2-wheel drive. There's my 81 K10 with no title that I'm kind of hanging on to use for parts for the 85 C10. That neighbor there lost half of his roof. As far as hurricane prep is concerned, you really can't ever totally prepare for what you're going to get, and this was one for the ages. I mean, I've been in Florida since I've been here my whole life, and the first hurricane I remember hitting here, or coming by here, was Hurricane Elena. I think that was 1985, and we were out playing soccer in the street, and the soccer ball would go like, I don't know, 500 feet in the air, it seemed like, and then come back down. It was pretty cool. But hurricanes are not cool when you're an adult. They suck. Here's a car that hasn't been on the channel at all. I was hoping it would have been by now, but that's a custom cruiser wagon. Really good patina wagon. That thing's only got 70,000 miles on it, but it wasn't stored properly, and you can see I've carried on that tradition of not storing it properly. This is my most recent video car. That's my Levi's Hornet X, and it actually survived pretty good. A piece of fence fell on it, but neighbors over there cleaning up their tree mess. There's my square body dually. That truck runs really good. There's the LTD with a locked up engine. I was never able to get that thing unlocked. That's a 351 Cleveland. I tried to sell it for $500. Got a bunch of clowns on Marketplace, so I said, you know what, I'll just leave it right there in the yard before I deal with some schmuck that wants to trade me a minivan with no title or whatever that clown was trying to do. And there's my 71 GMC. Now, it was covered up really well because I don't have a place to store it right now. I had indoor storage for it, but I lost it, and I did not want to put it in my garage in the back because I didn't want it to blow down. So actually, a car is actually safer outside in a hurricane than it is inside a wood frame or metal building, believe it or not. You're better off just parking them out in the middle of a field. Now, I didn't think about this. There's a big tree in my neighbor's house, and that's bigger than it looks, that tree right there. That actually was big enough to shade my pool on my house, and that fence behind it was actually brand new, or below it there. It uprooted that thing and uprooted my fence along with it. Once you start this YouTube thing, it kind of sucks you into a vortex, sort of, so to speak. I've also got a XJ 4x4 over there with no title that I've actually had for quite a long time, but it won't start now. So that's going to be on deck to go into the carport. A golf cart is an important tool when you mess around with things. So I could not get the golf cart to charge because we didn't have power. One of my grandkids left the key on or something and it was dead. They come in real handy for cleaning up yard debris and whatnot. So, and my little Toyota truck, I don't know if I can ever really let that thing go. I made a video about selling it, but that thing is so good and it starts up every single time. I did the air conditioning work on it. Air conditioning blows cold. It's just real easy to load stuff in and out of. That's where I had the generator. I was actually taking the Toyota truck to the gas station with all of my gas cans, filling the gas cans and then filling the tank in the Toyota pickup. So I could just move the generator around and siphon gas out of the Toyota pickup to refill everything. Really only bored windows up that really needed. Now, I left that one because statistically, something busting out a window in a hurricane is like trying to it's like playing cornhole, you know? Like, the biggest windows are the ones that are the most susceptible to damage. It's got some film on it too that actually helps protect it. So this is a big it's three single hung windows with 2 mullion bars connecting them together vertically. Now this you have to board up. So people go nuts boarding up windows down here, and I don't really understand it because you can see, obviously, I just get whatever scraps of plywood. I used to have pre-cut pieces, but they rotted. I mean, I've been in this house for 25 years, so they rotted away in storage, and it had those, you know, anchors on the outside with wing nuts and all that crap. But really, when you have old, crappy windows like I do, just take whatever pieces of plywood you can get and screw them to with self-tapping screws to the outside of the window frame, because that's really all you need. If you get something that's going to knock that wood out and pull that entire window frame out of the perimeter around the buck strips or whatever they're called, you've got a really serious problem. You're probably going to lose your roof. So this is This is good enough for your typical hurricane board up job. And you can see this plywood actually had, right there, was in somebody's garage, and it had a little hole cut out for an outlet, electrical outlet. So that's how I did almost every window in my house that way, with just scraps, overlapping them, screwing them together. And I think when you overlap them, it makes it stronger anyway. You can see the monster tree here on the left got knocked over. I mean, that's a big, big tree. There's a power crew up here working on the lines. That's the same crew that got mine up and going last night. Pretty nice guys. I think those guys work like 16-hour shifts, I think. I also think they make a whole ton of money when they do this kind of work. And they deserve it too. A lot of the intersections in Bradenton, actually most of the intersections in Bradenton, have all cockeyed traffic signals now, and a lot of them are still out, so they're treated as a four-way stop, except a lot of people around here don't know what a four-way stop is, so you have to kind of stop at all the flashing yellows and the ones that are completely out, come to a complete stop so you don't get plowed into the side. There's a lot of that vinyl fence, and what happens to the vinyl fence, a lot of the panels just are history, gone, blown away, and you never see them anywhere. They're just gone. Probably in the Gulf of Mexico, I guess. You can see also just random garbage sitting around in the bushes. Street signs everywhere. Out by my sister's house, there's like entire aluminum carports like wrapped around trees and stuff, because they live in the West Bradenton area, which is out closer to the Gulf. And they got pounded just a little bit harder. In fact, my mother still doesn't have power, so she's there with her two dogs, and we go out there and refill her generator for her. So I traverse the county a couple times a day or every other day, along with my sister, keeping her generator up and going for the pups to have a window unit AC going. It's still warm down here. It's not nearly as hot as it was, but it's still warm. By the way, when you go through the McDonald's drive-thru, the outside drive-thru is always faster. Why, I don't know, but it always is. So we're over here at the big shop. There's no power. It's kind of a different experience working with no power. Can't use the lifts. Can't use the lifts, can you, Jaime? Okay, we're kind of heading towards West Bradenton now, or more closer to the center of Bradenton, which is about 5 miles inland. And this is where the real carnage starts to take place over here. Now, we fared better up here in Manatee County, Bradenton area than they did south, and especially the barrier islands. I live about maybe 10 miles away inland from Anna Maria Island, 10 or 12 miles, something like that. Now you see, this is a blinking light. We had to treat it as a four-way stop because I've almost been hit a couple times. This is the areas that take the brunt of the damage, and this was just piled up on the sidewalk the other day with carports and awnings, and some of the mobile homes in the park immediately on my right are newer and they held up better. But there's another park, there's a lot of parks around here that have older ones, and they must be working overnight cleaning this stuff up, because a lot of the stuff is gone. It was just piled everywhere. You can see the remnants of the piles on the sidewalk there. Of course, I guess it's probably a safety hazard to have all that metal. Like, there's a pile right there. It's kind of an example. This is an older park with vinyl fence, and that's what you get. I mean, this place looks like an absolute war zone. And it just so happens I've got a really nice friend of mine that I got a car from a couple of months ago that you guys have not seen yet. And I just want to go through here and check. Haven't heard from her. Just want to go through here and check and see if she's good. And this is insulation and ductwork just everywhere. And I don't know how, I honestly don't know how some of these places even are still standing. Somebody's carport wadded up there. This is a scrapper's paradise in here. Yeah, they've done a really good job around here cleaning this mess up. I mean, this was bad the other day. you look down some of these, like there's a big pile there. I mean, look at the roof on that place. That's a roof over. They do a lot of roof overs on these. I mean, you cannot get insurance on these places, and anyway, you couldn't get them financed for probably the last 10 or 15 years, which is certainly understandable. But you know, these are kind of retirement structures, you know, that don't really have to be anything but what they are. But this is going to change things dramatically. Just piles of stuff everywhere. Lots of aluminum. There's a roof completely gone off of that place. Yeah, pretty much every mobile home park that I've seen in Manatee County looks a lot like this, and some of them a little bit worse. The closer to the water you get, the worse that they are. There's an entire sunroom that came off of one of these places. I mean, just look at the roof on this thing. And there's more fence there. Crazy. Just obliterated, really. We're going over to check on one of our rental properties. Had some fairly significant damage. So the weatherhead got bent here at this rental because the roof on the front of the building blew all the way over the roof this way and hit the line. Where's the line? Hit the line, blew the weatherhead off into the yard. My electrician David found it over there, and there's the remains of the roof on the front of the building.
You give the home credit and I did it.
What? Never mind, my tenant Quentin did it. Okay, is that good? Are you happy now, Quentin? These tenants get all sensitive sometimes, right, Quentin? And it also did damage in the front of his truck. But for those of you guys that are wondering in YouTube world, if your car is outside and you have homeowner's insurance on your home, homeowner's insurance does not cover damage to cars outside, only if it's inside a garage. Otherwise, it's full coverage insurance, comp and collision on your car. This is one of the oldest mobile home parks around here. And you just look down I don't want to drive down the streets because there's lots of guys trying to work, power trucks and stuff, but there's just debris everywhere, all over the place. Everywhere you look. It's really pretty sad, honestly. That's a car wash that's been here forever called Blue Dolphin Car Wash, and the overhang was destroyed. Now we're going to check out one of my rental properties that had a tree fall on the roof. Actually discovered most of the damage. I was out at 4 o'clock Thursday morning when the second part of the eye wall passed over us because I couldn't sleep. I don't think I slept for probably 30 hours or so straight, which is not healthy, by the way. I don't do that. It kind of sucks. But I just had to go out and check everything out, and I discovered a lot of this. Now this street over here, this is obviously a kind of a lower income area. A lot of good blue collar people live over here. And there were some really old, well-established oak trees over here. And this big pile on the left here that you see is my rental. And the roof, the big oak tree in the back that was just huge, about half of it split and fell onto the roof. I may have some perforations in the roof now, but this appears to be the mess that was left behind from it. Nice pile of stuff there. Can't even get access to the driveway. And yes, I realize the tenants painted, you know, blue and coral colored door there, but they're gonna do it anyway. You can't stop them. Well, that's about enough of that for one day. The place was a lot worse a few days ago. Basically the timeline was scramble early last week, get everything as ready as you could, hunker down. Thing went to a category 5, coming eastbound across the Gulf, which is really unusual. Eye wall passed right over my area, went on land in Siesta Key, which is about 15-20 miles south of me, and right over the top of where we were hunkered down. Well, now I was in the eye wall, which was really cool. I wish I would have videoed it. It was as calm as could be, and you could actually feel that pressure drop inside of it. Then all of a sudden, boom, in the blink of an eye, you're right back into the hurricane. It happens in a fraction of a second. Very interesting phenomenon. They say this is the first hurricane like this that's hit this area for 103 years. And what's next for Florida? I can tell you right now, there's going to be a whole bunch of people moving out of here, because every time this happens, back in 2004, we had 3 hurricanes come through here back then. The most damaging one to our area was Hurricane Charlie. And then by 2007, we were in the great financial apocalypse collapse, the recession thing that had hit. And that was for a number of reasons. A lot of people say that that was because of adjustable rate mortgages, but it was not. It absolutely was not. It was absolutely 100% mostly the fault of increased homeowners insurance, and the property taxes skyrocketed. That's probably going to happen again, especially after this year with having 3 hurricanes pass by. Between the poor people in Sarasota, they got flooded so bad during Hurricane Debbie. The Big Bend area of Florida with Hurricane Helene and all the storm surge that ensued from that down in Siesta and Anna Maria Island and St. Petersburg, Hillsborough County, Tampa. This is all the big Tampa Bay area. And it's going to be there's going to be some changes, I'm pretty sure. But everybody that's tried and true will bounce back from this. It might take 2 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 6 months. Nobody really knows. I'd really rather not be here anymore. I've been here my whole life. I'm just kind of tired of it. But here I am. My family's here. All of my business interests are all rooted here. It's really hard to walk away from all that and relocate, things like that. So I guess I'll put up with the heat and the hurricanes for a while longer, but I wanted to give an update to a lot of my friends on YouTube, who I've made some very good friends and local people here, and just show you some of what I know and a little bit of the preparation involved and what to expect in a hurricane. Hurricanes are really not that big a deal. They're a little scary. If you board your house up and you live in a good concrete block structure that's not in a flood zone, A, B, or even C, you're probably going to get through it just fine. Some damage and trees and shingles blown off and all that. If you're in a mobile home or anything like that, a poorly built structure, even a wood frame house, probably not a good idea to be hanging around in there. And the storm surge, the threat with that this time was very real, and my house was in an evacuation B. I live about maybe 800 to 1,000 feet away from a river, a tributary river. So I bolted. I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to be, having snakes through the living room and 18 inches of water or whatever. So we bolted and went further inland. And it was the scariest hurricane that I've ever been through, and I've been through a bunch of them in the last 41 years or so. So that's it for now. I just wanted to update everybody, like I said, give you a little insight on the hurricane, show you a little bit of the damage that I've seen. I was an HVAC guy for 25 years. I'm probably going to have to enter that arena again for a short time to help some of my friends and acquaintances get their ACs back up and going after the hurricane, because it does all kinds of weird things to them. And get my own property cleaned up so I can get back on my car content. Until next time, I will absolutely catch you on the flip side.